Fallout from local leaders after Donald Trump warned every city in America could be like Detroit if Kamala Harris is elected. CBS News Detroit's Walter Murphy is live in downtown Detroit. Walter, pretty concerning for the former president to say something like that in the city he's visiting. What are they saying?
Yeah, Terrence, well, it's not every day that a presidential candidate comes to a city to diss the same city that he's standing in, but that's exactly what the former president did this afternoon. Now, it's anyone's guess exactly how this will fare for him come November, but Detroiters have opinions.
The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president.
Disparaging remarks given by President Donald Trump on Wednesday at a campaign stop in the city has Detroiters up in arms. Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan tweeting, "Lots of cities should be like Detroit, and we did it all without Trump's help." Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer also chimed in, saying, "Keep Detroit out of your mouth, and you better believe Detroiters won't forget this in November."
It's no way to try and go out and to attempt to win someone's vote by insulting them in the city that they live in.
Speaker of the Michigan State House Joe Tate says you needn't look any further than Detroit's population growth over the past year as proof that Detroit is booming. He also focused on the cleanliness of the city and an overall reduction in crime, things that he says the former president probably hasn't spent enough time on the ground in the city to notice.
He hasn't met with Detroiters to talk to them about all of the great things that are going on in the city.
And the Metro Detroiters that we spoke to agree.
And has no idea how much that this city has prospered and how much people love to be down here.
You know, the city was booming. I mean, there's so many people down here. Every Lions game, Tigers game, there's always so many people down here.
So we reached out to the Trump campaign to see if they would give any more clarity about those comments that he made this afternoon. And they gave us this statement that reads in part, President Trump remembers when Detroit was lauded as the gold standard for auto manufacturing success and revolutionized the industry. It goes on to say that his policies will usher in a new era of economic success and stability for Detroit, helping the city reach its fullest potential. If you want to read that in full statement, you can find it on our website, cbsnewsdetroit.com.
So let's address this because people couldn't wait to send this to me and say, Anton, what do you think about this? Because you're in Detroit, you're from Detroit, you decided to stay in Detroit, but you're voting for Trump. Okay, so let's address it because Anton dodges no smoke, zero, zilch, nada. And I actually gave a little bit of context to this on the Millionaire Morning Show, so if you want to go and look at that, make sure you tap into the Millionaire Morning Show and subscribe. We do that every single morning, Monday through Friday, and it is the best morning show on the face of the earth. Also, make sure you tap into the Patreon, link is in the description. And then get your tickets to come and see me in person November 2nd in Atlanta. And then December 14th here in Detroit. And make sure you get your TJ Henley 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. All right, so let's get into the thick of it, all right? So again, people wanted me to react to this or they wanted me to address it and they think that I was just going to gloss over it and I'm afraid of this smoke and I can't add value into this conversation. But I absolutely will address this directly. So first and foremost, because I want to have maybe like 3 or 4 points total. First and foremost, let's just address the elephant in the room. People are so sensitive and they get easily offended and they think that just because somebody is appealing and then pandering to them, that then justifies that I'm supposed to vote for them. No, I am still the same person. I'm voting on policy. I'm voting on the idea that we're putting America first. On a national level, that's where I want him to operate. On a local level, that is where I want my local leaders, which is one of the reasons why it's so important to vote, because you're not just voting based off of the President of the United States of America, but you're also voting locally. Now, Detroit has done so much more and we're really, really booming. And everybody know that I'm a huge advocate for Detroit, while at the same time, in the beginning of my YouTube career, I held the city accountable myself, but I never ran. I just stayed here and worked, right? When I was coming up, and I'm an OG of YouTube, when I was coming up, I absolutely had to address the honest to God problems that was going on in the city. Thank God that we had people that stayed and we didn't have a brain drain, meaning that you get people that's educated here and smart and then they leave and they go to other places. We are doing significantly better. We have a surplus, unlike Chicago. We have a population boom, unlike New York. And we have a lower and a reduced crime rate, unlike Oakland over there in California. And so most blue cities are suffering under the same Democratic policies that we see happening under Kamala Harris. Now, the second point that I want to get to is I don't care whether or not somebody tells me what they really think, because the reason why I don't like chameleons such as Kamala Harris is because she's so busy pandering to the people and telling them what she thinks that they want to hear instead of telling them their honest to God thoughts. We can agree, we could disagree on some issues, but I'm never so much in my feelings to make an emotional decision instead of making a logical decision. Are we better off as a nation under the Trump administration or under the Kamala Harris administration, and what policies are best going to benefit me and my family? It is up to you as an individual city to vote on the policies, the millages, who it is that you're electing to the city council, the mayor, and so on and so forth. We just so happen to have a hugely blue Democratic city, but these legislators are significantly better than they were 10 to 15 years ago, which is one of the reasons why you also need regional cooperation. And then last but not least, great business owners such as the Dan Gilberts that absolutely want to continue to invest in the city. And so we largely charge that regional cooperation to the success and the growth of the city. Third point, it is a reputation that we have created for ourselves, which I'm assuming that Trump is leaning off of, because we were the last major city to file bankruptcy, the last largest major city to file bankruptcy, which our reputation precedes us. So now it is up to us not to criticize the people that are criticizing us, but to change our reputation, and we're slowly doing that. The same way that it took decades for us to create the reputation that Detroit is a hellhole is the same way that now we have to work diligently to create the reputation and showcase the city, such as we did during the last NFL draft, and we showcase it in different events and things like that, so that when people see us and when people recognize us on the national stage, they say, hey, this is not what I thought it was going to be. It absolutely isn't. But again, that is our responsibility as Detroiters to change the narrative of the reputation that was created for us and not get mad at people that have an opinion of what it is that they've experienced or the reputation that we've created for ourselves over the last 40 to 50 years that our parents and our grandparents threw us under the bus and they sold us out, because this was an urban center that had a low voter turnout rate and 100% ruined our own lives. And we voted against ourselves and we leapfrogged off of the 67 riots to tear up our own city. But there's a group of us, and there's so many different people, and I'm not going to go into it, that absolutely champion a change. And everything that we see happening positive in the city is not one person, it's the legislators, it's the business people, and it's the local residents that's absolutely changing the face of what this city is. Last but not least, I absolutely think that he's leapfrogging off of the thing that we experienced back in the 2008, 7, 2000s, 1990s, and what's then translating because of some of the same similar issues that we're having today. We see Stellantis going out of business. We also know that regional cooperation, meaning that it's not just the city of Detroit, but it's the Metro Detroit areas, all of the surrounding areas that then benefit off of and then suffer, right? In the same way, reciprocating, suffering as a result of whatever the city goes. That's usually how the rest of the region is affected. So for somebody to say, yo, and I think that the context was missed, because what he really was trying to implement or really trying to highlight was the suffering that we've experienced over a period of time. And the same thing that we used to go through is the same thing that a lot of these other cities is going through, because they don't change the way that cultural norms are. And then they voting based off of the same way instead of voting based off of what's best for us. I don't care for the governor, Gretchen Whitmer. I really don't. I do think that Mike Duggan went really well, but I also understand that Mike Duggan is compromised because at different points he actually worked for the Biden administration. So there's a lot of context. When you see what is happening on a national scale, when you see Biden sitting down, he's actually sitting down next to one of the worst governors to ever grace this state. I forgot who she was. Jennifer Granholm. Jennifer Granholm was sitting right next to him when they was talking about the failed attempt that was happening for Hurricane Helene. So she was one of the governors of Michigan. She was one of the past governors where people absolutely thought that she did a horrible job. So I don't take it personally. I'm not tripping about it. And even if I disagree with it, or even if he flubbed what the extra context was that he was trying to communicate, it doesn't make a difference to me. I don't vote emotionally. I still think that he's the best person for the United States of America. And then we also have to vote and handle our business locally to make sure that we not only create the best economic opportunities and leapfrog off of the things that's been happening over the last years, but also that we change the reputation nationally and people don't look at us a certain way, but instead he just said the quiet part out loud of what nationally things was happening back in the past and what is affecting a lot of these cities in the future. So it's up to us. It's up to us to change the reputation. And again, I don't take it personally. I still think that Kamala Harris is the worst ever. And if you're voting based off of what you've seen happen after that, and you're not voting based off of which policy is going to affect your life and make your family better, then that's on you. But that's why we all got choices. So absolutely I'm not running. And I'm still voting for Trump. And I still think that he's the best option for the United States of America, because I am tired of these proxy wars. I am tired of these illegal migrants coming over here. And there's nothing that he could say that would actually get me to switch sides and think that illegal migration into this country, record inflation, bad economies, bad responses, FEMA running out of money and all of these things. And then on top of that, I'm not voting for a woman to lead me. You can forget it. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it, and that's how I rock. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, and make sure you tune into After Hours tonight, and we're going to address it. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.